Welcome everyone, this is Viking, and today we're going to be using the Harrier at night. Now, there are 4 targets we want to hit, and I've programmed waypoints for all 4 of them into the computer, nav computer manually. But I've programmed 3 of them in. I'm going to do the 4th one while I'm recording, because I want to show you how to do it. It is data, and then make sure waypoint is boxed. And we're going to be programming in waypoint number 7. So make sure we got waypoint selected there. And then the waypoint number is 7. Press enter. The asterisk means we're punching in a new waypoint. So then we go to position, and it's got 3 leading zeros. Hit it again, 2 leading zeros. That way we do the northing first. And the northing, according to the notes that I have made, is 27, 22, 41. Enter. Sometimes it ticks, it seems to round away the last digit. I'm not sure why that happens. Might be a bug, might be a feature. I haven't figured that one out yet. But then we hit position again, and we confirm easting, and that is 054. 5607, 5607, enter, and again it rounds it off. I'm not sure what's going on there. Then we also need elevation. It's 450 feet, 450, enter. It converts it to meters. That's what's going on there. And now we have waypoint 7. That's all there is to it. So the first waypoint we want to hit is number 4. So we're going to turn off data, and we're going to bump us up to waypoint 4. But even before we do that, we are going to meet up with a tanker and get ourselves some gas. And we're going to do that at night, and that is more difficult than it is during the day. So, without further ado, let's make sure that our TAC can is set up to 3 air-to-air. It is. Let's box TAC can. And now it's time to get cracking. We'll put the nozzles back to 82. Hover stop position. And actually, while I'm at it, I'm just going to switch this one over to stores. Alright. One thing that you should know about night ops is left alt L puts a flashlight on your mouse cursor.
Passing waypoint 2 at 20,000.
Thank you, Texaco. So that's a useful key to bind, left alt L. Or you don't have to bind it, you just have to know that it's there. And you're also going to want your night vision goggles. And another thing I should mention is that for night ops you want this switch all the way down. Right click and right click. Now it's in nighttime mode. That means we can enable nav FLIR with a single press of sensor select down. So we can get nav FLIR turned on when we want that. For this one, I'm actually just gonna go with night vision goggles. Come to think of it, I may turn up, I'm just gonna crank the brightness on the HUD all the way so that it's a little bit easier to see with the night vision goggles. That's counterintuitive, but it is what it is. And yeah, let's take off. Water into the up position to give us a little extra engine power. Witch's hat on the horizon. Get us off to the side real quick. And let's get this going. There are some weird artifacts to do with shadows and night vision goggles. Sorry about that. Maybe I should have waited for another patch before I did this video, but it is what it is. Gear up. Throttle back a little bit. Water system off. Passing 180 knots. Nozzles all the way forward, and we are airborne. "50 miles? Are you kidding me?" Okay, you're pretty far away there, pal. It's a good thing I got 3,800 pounds of fuel. Do I have TAC can set up correctly here? TAC can 3, air to air. Yep, guess I do. I was not expecting that guy to be so far away. Once I get up to altitude, I'll probably speed up time so you don't have to sit through the entire journey out to the tanker.
Texaco, Pontiac 1-1. Request rejoin. Pontiac 1-1. Texaco, proceed to pre-contact at 20,000.
Looks like he's headed towards us, so we're not going to have to fly the full 50 miles. Just got to get up to altitude and intercept him. Weird artifacts concerning the shadows at night. Or not shadows, reflections. I want to stay a little bit underneath him, so I'm going to level off around like 17,000. Maybe 17.5. Maybe 18. And I'm going to turn on the altitude hold autopilot because that conveniently auto trims my jet for me. And I'm going to enable nav FLIR, which basically shows us the ocean. Sensor select right shows us the FLIR on the right MFD. And after that, further presses of sensor select right change between white hot and black hot. Ooh, I see a twinkle off in the distance. Right under the speed there, I think that's our tanker. And the tac can heading bug does seem to be lining up with that twinkle, so that's what I'm going to follow. 4 miles. Yeah, that didn't take long at all, did it? This tanker's moving at a pretty good clip, and we're going to have to turn around, so we'll throttle up for that. There goes the heading bug. Let's turn on night vision. Where's that guy? There he is. There's the twinkle on the nav FLIR. Make sure my flaps are in cruise position. And there he is on nav FLIR. Clear as day, almost, not quite. Let's put up the refueling probe and its lovely light. That light is really handy for illuminating the basket. Now, nav FLIR is not that super helpful at this point, so I'm just going to turn it off, go with night vision. Although it is a lot harder to see the tanker with just night vision. Its lights should really be a little bit brighter, I think. But oh well. 1.3 miles out according to TACCAN. 1.2. Now, when you're tanking, of course, you want to have your trim really dialed in. Now, this tanker is moving at about 325, so a little trick I'm going to do is slow down to 325 And once I'm there, I'm just going to enable the autopilot for about 5 seconds, and that way my aircraft will be trimmed perfectly for 325. Of course, there's no harm in adjusting the trim manually, but it's nice to have an automatic way to do things. So we're at 327, 328, close enough. Autopilot's engaged. We're pacing the tanker. Disengage autopilot and speed up. And the extra speed causes us to pitch up. But we're just going to ham-fist it and hold the stick forward as we approach, because we don't want to change the trim settings. Oh, of course you're going to bank. Of course you're going to bank when I'm trying to record a refueling effort, because why should things ever be easy? Moving into position here. Of course, now the lights get bright. I think they should be a little bit more visible from a little bit further away. But at least we've got them while we're close. Now, tanking at night is difficult. So you'll have to forgive me if I don't plug the basket on the very first attempt.
Ready, pre-contact. Return pre-contact.
Dude, I'm right here. We both know I'm right here. Sometimes he likes it better if I'm in the middle of his fuselage, so let's see if that helps.
Ready, pre-contact. Cleared contact.
Thank you. Goose the throttle ever so gently. Keep the heading bug in between, or keep the heading carrot in between the engine and the refueling probe. Easy does it. Easy does it. I am glad that I pre-trimmed this thing because it's handling pretty well right now. Easy does it. Come on, baby. Ooh, ooh, a little bit too far to the right. Don't overcorrect. Let's slow it down. Come on now. Come on. Oh, 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 oh. And I've missed it. Back it off. Try again. Alright, let's move it over a little bit, but not too much. Try to come in for another approach. Whoops, that's too much. That's too much. And I'm oscillating. Don't let it get you down, Viking. Everything's really disorienting at night. Happens to everyone. And I've missed it again because I drifted too far to the right. Alrighty.
You're taking fuel.
I sure am. Gotta rock the throttle nice and gently. Try to maintain an appropriate distance. Don't want to get too close to that other airplane, especially at night, but you also don't want to give it too much slack and disconnect by accident. That can be embarrassing. I already missed the basket like 3 times before connecting. Easy does it. Easy does it. Slow and steady. A little bit of upward trim because we're taking on fuel and getting heavier. Whoops, the daisy. Careful, careful, careful. Don't oscillate, don't oscillate. Don't oscillate. Always use half as much input as you think you need. Everything's fine, everything's cool. Just relax. Just relax. A little bit more upward trim. Whoops. Okay, no problem. Steady does it, steady does it. And we're oscillating. Don't do that. Use small inputs to correct. Never overcorrect. Don't look down at your fuel gauge. It's over when it's over. Oh, is it over?
Transfer complete.
Hey! Alright, throttle back. Put the probe away. Get clear of the wake. Don't want to get turbulence. I know we're heading like approximately northeast to our waypoint, so don't turn south, dummy. Gonna get rid of the night vision because we don't really need that. Goodbye, Mr. Tanker. HUD to nav mode. Put her in autopilot. And box waypoint, because that's where we're headed. Waypoint 4. While we're at it, we're also going to, maybe we'll turn on night vision. We're going to turn on the stopwatch. And we're going to activate the IR Mavs to warm them up. I think I could probably do with a little more flood lighting. That helps to illuminate the stopwatch a little bit. Let's iron out our course heading here. I'm actually going to go, and that circle denotes where it is. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I thought I had that designated as a target point. There we go. Now it's got the diamond that tells me it's a target point. And when it's designated as a target point, if I put it in air-to-ground mode, it stays there, whereas the circle just goes away. It's complaining that I have not enabled master arm, which is a good point. Let's turn out the... Okay, I'm not sure what that warning was, but let's turn out the nav lights, so all of our lights are off and we're nice and dark and hard to hit, and let's enable master arm. So we're ready to fight, fenced in. We are 50 miles from the target, but that's going to go by quicker than we expect. And wait a minute, do I have nav flare turned on? Yes, I do. One of the ways you can check is to toggle white hot, black hot like I just did. If it blinds you, then nav flare is on. If I disable nav flare and do the same thing with the flare panel on the right, then nothing happens. Enable nav flare, blinding. Toggle white hot, black hot. And boy, is it ever dark out. I mean, you just can't see anything at all. Want to do a little bit of fuel conservation, so I'll back the throttle down to about 80%. And And let's check on this guy. Still in standby. Looks like we're at the 2.5 minute mark. So in 30 seconds our Mavericks will be warmed up. Gonna put this in air to ground mode now. And the fuse is set to actually delay, so I'm going to put it on instantaneous. It says standby here. Now I started the stopwatch like 5 seconds before I did the warm-up cycle, so it should be 5 seconds from now. Switch to ready. It's switched to ready. And so we can reset the stopwatch. Don't need that anymore. Ye gods, is it ever dark out. Now I might just turn down the flood a little bit. I want a little bit of it, but I don't want too much glare coming up onto the night vision goggles. Weird artifacts at night in this version of the game. I hope they patch that. I think we'll turn towards the target waypoint now. And I could have brought a targeting pod, which actually would have helped things a little bit, but I want to try it without. So we're just carrying 4 Mavericks, 2 Sidewinders, no gun, no TGP. And thanks to NavFleer, we get a little bit of detail here. If we turn it off, we lose even that. We're gonna uncage the, holy crap. It is right on that thing. Boy, those coordinates were balls on accurate. Okay, field of view, zoom in. I mean, if that's the target, that is accurate as all get out. I don't know if the video compression will ruin this, but there's a teeny tiny bright pixel in the middle of my crosshairs here. Now we're going after Estrella, which is IR guided SAM. So we want to make sure that we fire from standoff range, because if we get too close, we will get shot at. Oh, speaking of, no, I've already got my countermeasures ready. Sometimes I forget to enable them, but not this time, thank goodness. All right, let's. Oh, there's another glitch. This box is supposed to appear around 4 IRMV, so another happy little bug that we get to deal with. The range of a Maverick is approximately 10 nautical miles, and we're at 16. I've backed the throttle down to 70% because I want to approach gently. I'm gonna go into a 5-degree dive. Throttle back entirely. Might as well save some gas and just glide for a bit. The max range for the Maverick is about 10 nautical miles. I'm going to wait until 8 and then let loose. And I often turn the the heading hold autopilot on when I'm in this kind of shallow dive, because that way I can slew the Maverick around without the movement of the aircraft dragging me off target. So we're at about 8.5 miles now. Come on, baby, lock on. That's it. Disable autopilot, nose down, rifle. Away we go. There it is on nav flare, that's cute. And the Harrier is a very light jet, so the fact that I just fired a missile from my left side means that I'm very heavy on my right side, so you gotta trim that out. I don't know exactly where the target is, but I'm gonna try and watch for the impact. I think it's somewhere. There it is. Yep. Okay. Strela destroyed. So that's one down. We're going to hit nose wheel steering to clear out that target designator and move on to waypoint 5. Waypoint 5, designate it as a target waypoint, and that's only 10 miles out from where we already are. So we're going to have to move fast. I'm going to well, I was going to enable the Mavericks, but it tried to slew onto the target immediately, and the target is beyond the gimbal limits, so it kicked me back. Once again, uncage. And goodness gracious, that has slewed me right onto target again. Fantastic. Okay, sensor select forward to box 3 IR Mavericks, or at least it should box it. And that's it. Let's nose down and rifle and retrim the aircraft. The nav flare isn't showing us much, but it's showing us more than nothing, which is what we would otherwise have in this kind of pitch darkness. And we never got closer than 6.5 miles to the target, which is wonderful. And let's see if we get to see the impact. I think it's somewhere around here. Just kind of to the right of this road as it moves along. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay. Clear the target location. Move on to waypoint 6, which is 12 miles. Oop, I let my alpha get up to like 16. That is not a good way to retain speed in a Harrier. Want to keep your alpha under 12 if possible. Lined up at 11.5 miles. Let's turn on the good old autopilot, uncage the Maverick, cycle the field of view because there's a bit of a bug to do with that, and I see nothing. I see nothing. Says we're 8 miles out now. If there was something to see, we should be seeing it already. Oh, what do we got here? There's something there. And now it's gone. Okay, we are now 6 miles out, and I'm getting nervous, so we're going to turn around and try again. Oh, you know what the problem was? I didn't set up 6 as a as a target. Dummy. Nav flare off. Sometimes it does that. Sometimes it does that. And I let the alpha get too high, so it turned on me. And while we're thinking of it, okay, we're gonna do the waypoint designate. Scale of this is 100. That's probably a bit much. Let's put it down to 13. I'm going to wait until I'm 10 miles away from the target. It says 8 here. And then I'm going to turn around and go back. I'm going to kick the throttle way up so I've got some speed to make that turn. I want to make the turn quickly. A little over 10 miles here. A little more for good measure. And away we go. Gonna turn on the night vision goggles so I can orient myself a little bit here. Turn nav flare back on. The water really shows up, eh? Throttle back to about 75%. Line up the heading bug. Autopilot on. Night vision goggles off. Uncage the Maverick. Box it on the HUD, and there we go. That's what we were looking for. Whoop. Boxed it at, or the crosshairs collapsed at only 8 miles. Okay, let's nose down to make sure it stays within gimbal limits when we shoot it, and rifle. And turning away. Trim the aircraft because we're holding on to just one Maverick. And I'm a little bit disoriented at this point, so I really don't know where I should be looking for the impact. Probably somewhere in this general area. Yeah, there it is. All right. So that's good. We're going to go to our last waypoint, waypoint 7. We're going to remember to designate it as a target. 12 miles out is just fine. Extra throttle to help us through the turn. Oops, don't go over 12. Don't go over 12. Whoops. Went a little too far, but I caught it just in time. And we will throttle back. Autopilot. 11 miles out. Plenty of time. Plenty of room. So turn this guy on. Cycle the FOV a couple times. Boy, those coordinates were dead accurate. I was not actually expecting it to work this well. Okay, 9 miles. RPMs are only 65, so we're losing a little speed, which is actually good because we don't want to go in too aggressively. Box it on the HUD there with sensor select forward, and not close enough. 7 miles, that really should be good. Whoa. Come on. Got it. Okay. Nose down. And rifle. Trim it out. Trim it out. Put her back in nav mode because we're Winchester. Night vision goggles on. I think we're looking somewhere around here. Oh, there it is. That time I was off a little bit, but the missile wasn't, and that's the important part. Alright, hit nose wheel steering to clear the target. And we are ready to head back and conduct a nighttime vertical landing on the carrier. Let's see. The carrier is at TACAN 2, so TACAN, not air-to-air 2, enter. And let's see if it finds it. It does. Wait. TACAN, okay. We're gonna lose some altitude because we got 5,500 pounds of fuel, and I would actually kind of like to burn a fair bit of that off before we get back to the good old Tarawa. And flying at lower altitude is a good way to burn way more fuel than you need to burn. So that works out. Throttling up is also an excellent way to burn more fuel than you need to. Radar altimeter says less than 5,000 feet. Barometric altimeter says 7,000 feet. Good enough. Now, in the Harrier, you do not want to overspeed the aircraft. We're at Mach 0.82. And 0.86 is about where it starts to get a little bit shaky. So if we start to bump up against 0.86, I will throttle back. Fuel consumption is 173 pounds per minute. And we're looking at 8 minutes, so 1,500 pounds. That's not going to be enough, actually. I want to burn more gas than that. You know what? As a backup... Jesus, I can't see a thing in here. Floodlights up. As a backup, I'm going to set bingo of 1,000, and if we get too close to the Tarawa with too much gas still on board, I will dump the remaining fuel. Gonna ditch the nav FLIR for now. Drop the floodlights back to minimum. Night vision goggles on. Helps the orientation a little bit. Also makes weird spooky reflections. Come on, guys, patch that shit. Oh, a clever guy would properly fence out. So master arm off and lights back on. I think, since this is getting a little boring, I'll just speed up time a little bit. It says we're still 50 miles out. I'll return time to normal when we're 20 miles out. $20 miles. Okay, what's the fuel situation here? 4,200 is a little on the high side, so I'm going to start dumping. And this bingo is a per tank bingo, so it'll stop dumping fuel when I've got 1,000 pounds per tank for 2,000 in total. Also, it never overdumps, so it'll probably be something like 11 or 1,200 in each tank. That's a pretty comfortable amount for landing a Harrier vertically, especially if you don't have a gun or a targeting pod, because both of those things are a little on the heavy side. And I see some ships out there. This smoky fellow here is the Kuznetsov, and then this nuclear-powered fellow here is the Stennis, and that means this other smoky fella is our aircraft carrier, the light carrier Tarawa. And speaking of, I think we should contact ATC.
Marshall, 37. Marking maps 015. Angels 7.3. Stay 2.8.
Gonna kill the throttle. Runway 36, huh? It's actually not the heading I was expecting, but it's fine. Turn on nav FLIR, and boy does that boat ever show up on the FLIR, huh?
Tower 37. Overhead Angels 2.6. Stay 2.7. 37. Tower, roger. BRC 0. St. Louis, Charlotte. 37.
Also, when I land, I'm going to be doing it the sloppy, incompetent guy way. This is not actually how you're supposed to do a vertical landing of a Harrier onto a ship like that, but I just want to get it done. Let's just confirm that the fuel dump has self-terminated. It has, with 1,300 per tank, which is a little more than I specifically requested, but it's all right. It's all right. TACAN says we're 2.3 miles away. I've got the speed down nice and low. Let's bleed off some more speed. Our stall speed is 180 and we're well over that. Alright, let's get the flaps into auto. Put the HUD in VTOL mode. Hard turn to bleed speed. Nozzles to 82 degrees. That's hover stop. Let's apply some power, because all that force is basically going straight down. We are going too fast, and we are too high, and we are badly out of trim. Now, thanks to the stupid reflections thing, the NVGs are doing more harm than good. But as we get closer, I'm gonna disable them and just use the lights on the deck of the ship to guide me in. Zooming in. Okay, I'm a little too far to the left, so we're gonna come right. Hard to keep this thing in trim under these conditions, but we're going to do what we can. We're intentionally losing altitude. Want to come down to at least 200 feet, maybe more like 150. And now it looks like I'm lined up. Oh no, 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 no. Behave, damn you. Okay. Kinda lined up. Gear down. We're going a little too fast, so I'm letting the nose come up to bleed off some speed. The thing is that Terawa itself is doing, I think, 5 or 10 knots. So we're not actually going to slow down to 0. Whoa. Boy, this is disorienting and difficult. All right. I'm maintaining a steady altitude. I've got the witch's hat below the horizon to push me a little bit forward. We're coming over the back of the boat here. Don't drift into the island. God damn it. Okay, don't over control either. This is the fucking refueling situation all over again. I should be able to do a better landing than this. I really should, but fuck it. I just want to touch down safely. And nose wheel steering on. Nozzles to somewhere between 10 and 15 degrees because that won't hurt the flaps or the ground crew. Nose wheel steering is active. I guess I can zoom out here. And we are safely on deck. I'm just going to pull off the runway by using high gain nose wheel steering. And pull into the 3A parking spot. Whew. Okay. That was tense, but it's done. Gonna activate the parking brake. Take a look around. Admire the view. And that's it. It's time to shut her down. I'm going to turn the battery off, which isn't going to cause me to lose power immediately because the engine is still running and it's running our AC generators. And power down the MFDs, the displays, the countermeasures dispenser, the radios, the HUD. No, wait, sorry. The HUD. Default is barometric, default is daytime, brightness, contrast, that's all down. Gonna disable the flaps. And going to turn the lights off. Turn the radio off. Turn off the nav system, the DMT, turn the FLIR off. Then fuel pumps off, DECM off, fuel cutoff engaged, turn that off, turn that off, turn that off. Disarm the ejection seat. We're not going to need that. We're just going to get out the normal way. And hit the engine cutoff. Watch that turbine come to a halt. And that's it. We did a night strike in the Harrier. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.